All right, so ever feel like life's this crazy juggling act?
Oh, tell me about it. It's like, where did the pause button go?
Exactly. And that's why we're diving into, well, you gave me all this awesome material on like practical ways to, not just survive, but actually thrive.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking, like, sometimes it's easy to get lost in the whole self-improvement thing, you know?
Totally. Like you need a whole other life just to figure it out, right?
Exactly. But I think what's cool about this stuff is it's like bite-sized.
Totally. Achievable steps.
Yeah.
So we're not talking total life overhaul, more like little tweaks,
Little tweaks, big impact.
Exactly. Okay, so first up, mental well-being. I mean, stress is like the universal language these days, right?
Right, isn't it, though? But one thing that really struck me in one of these articles was like reframing stress. It's not always a bad thing, you know?
Oh, that's interesting. It's like how you react to it, maybe.
Exactly. They were talking about like harnessing that energy, and there are some cool tips in here. Like, have you ever tried that expressive writing thing?
Journaling.
Kind of, but more focused. Like 15 minutes just pouring out your feelings, no judgment.
Hmm. I've journaled on and off, but not like with that intention.
Yeah, well, apparently it can seriously lower stress hormones. It's wild.
Huh. That's worth trying.
Yeah.
I mean, anything to quiet the mental noise,
Oh,
right?
for sure. And speaking of quieting the mind, one of these sources had this whole thing about like the power of just 1 minute of deep breathing.
Seriously, just 1 minute.
Yeah. They called it a 1 minute reset, like a mini vacation for your brain, which I love.
You and me both. Because honestly, sometimes the thought of like a full meditation session,
Oh, totally overwhelming.
right, like where am I going to find 30 minutes to just sit and...
Then you feel guilty, but you didn't do it.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
1 minute. I could totally get behind that.
Me too. Small steps, remember?
Absolutely. Okay, so we've chilled out our minds. What about like getting our bodies moving?
Mm.
Because I used to think exercise had to be this big, intense ordeal.
Oh, I so relate to that, like all or nothing thinking.
Right. But these sources were all about like consistency over intensity.
Totally. And you know what I loved? One of them said that even 10 minutes of brisk walking a day can make a huge difference.
I love walking, but I always thought like it had to be an hour-long power walk to really count.
And who has time for that every day, right?
Seriously. So even short bursts of movement.
Totally count. One article even suggested breaking it up, like 2 5-minute walks. Totally doable.
Genius. Okay, so we've calmed our minds, moved our bodies. Now let's talk fueling up, because honestly, I've been so bad about just grabbing whatever's quick and easy, even if it's,
Not the best choice.
yeah, exactly. Back to bad habits.
But you know, one thing that really stuck with me from these sources was this idea of habit stacking.
Habit stacking. I've never heard of that.
So it's basically like piggybacking a new healthy habit onto an existing one. Like, let's say you always make coffee first thing in the morning.
I do.
Right. So you could stack the habit of like drinking a glass of water right after you finish your coffee.
Ooh, I like that. Like tricking yourself into being healthier.
Uh-huh, exactly. Small change, big impact. And you know, these sources also had some really great tips on like budget-friendly, healthy eating.
Oh, that's key because let's be real, healthy food can be expensive.
No kidding. But one source mentioned like frozen fruits and veggies, often cheaper than fresh and just as nutritious.
True. And I guess planning meals around what's on sale helps too, right?
Definitely. And that brings us to self-care.
Yes. And I'm so glad these sources went beyond like the typical bubble bath and face mask stuff.
Right? It's so much more than that.
One of them said it's really about like nourishing your mind, body, and soul.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Like, one source suggested setting a digital curfew, like no screens an hour before bed.
Oh man, I need that. I'm so bad about scrolling late at night.
Me too. But apparently it does wonders for sleep quality.
Makes sense. And, another source had this whole thing about the power of saying no.
Boundaries.
Yes. Like sometimes self-care is just giving yourself permission to like not do things.
So important because, let's be honest, we live in a culture of like go, go, go.
All the time. So to wrap this all up, I think the key takeaway is small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's not about being perfect, it's about progress. And that's totally within reach for all of us.
Love that.
So as you go about your day, think about this. What one tiny tweak from today's deep dive could you make happen? Doesn't have to be huge, just something to nudge you a little closer to that balanced life.
Awesome. And I'm really curious to hear what our listeners choose.
Me too. It's all about finding what works for you.